Again, good morning from the
Is the audio
Philippines.
okay?
Mabuhay. Oh, it's okay. Yeah.
Okay, so I will just.
Welcome to
Yes.
the 12th hour of the RLS talk on the Nights of Global Social Rights. For our time, I am very pleased to introduce the speakers of today's panel for RLS Manila. Both are globally recognized for their exemplary human rights work in their respective fields. We have Cristina Palabay, Miss Tinay, the Secretary General of Karapatan Human Rights Alliance, a broad alliance of human rights organizations in the Philippines. Tinay is the 2021 Franco-German Prize for Human Rights and Rule of Law recipient for her exceptional work contribution to the protection and promotion of human rights and rule of law in her country. And we also have Cecile Oebanda-Pacis. Cecile is the founder of the Voice of the Free, an NGO working against human trafficking and slavery on the national and international level. Cecile received the 2005 Anti-Slavery Award from the Anti-Slavery International and the first Iqbal Masih Award for the elimination of child labor. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining me on this hour for RLS Manila.
Thank
So
you.
let's dive right into the questions that we have prepared. You both have a long and varied history of working as human rights defenders. My first question is for you, Cecile. Can you give us a brief history of what politicized you? What was the turning point in your life that made you say human rights are clearly being violated and something has to be done about it?
Well, yeah, I was born and grew up in a very difficult time in our country. It's actually during the martial law, and of course for me as a young child, it's not, I don't really care about it at first. It's really nothing for me because I thought that it's not really affecting our life. I'm a catechist, I'm serving in the church, and we just do a regular thing. And my father said that, as long that you're not doing something bad, you'll be okay. But of course, year after year, I experience really very difficult life. And during that time, I live in Bacolod, or Negros Occidental, is one of the province really badly hit by the economic crisis during martial law under the Marcos dictatorship. And I saw a lot of my friend, I saw a lot of families suffer. It's not really just extreme poverty, but it's really hunger. And then my father lost his job. There's no really food um, in the table to take. And of course there's a lot of militarization. For me, that my turning point is that when the church that I serve was actually began under attack by the dictator and the military, and a lot of my friends are forced to go underground. Some of them were apprehended. My best friend was killed, and for me that's the turning point. And of course I asked myself why this is happening. And we thought that everything and all the promises of the golden era become really like a golden mud
Mhm.
that slowly penetrate our individual household and our being as an individual. So for me, it's really the direct experience of militarization with my friends. And I think, and me, because I believe that if I was not able to escape, maybe one of the victim also. And the economic suffering of my people, especially in the province, that's really my turning point.
Well, thank you so much for that. And just to add on that, uh, uh, of course, aside from martial law, one would after the martial law, one would expect that there would be a better Philippines afterwards. But it seems that we're going backwards. Actually, the culture of impunity is still with us, with the war on drugs, the anti-terror law that was passed. So from one administration to the other, we are back again with the son of the former dictator serving the country as the president. And so I would like to direct this to Tina. Tina, you work directly with political activists, relatives also of the slain, of the disappeared, and the jailed activists calling for justice. And this is still happening today, not just during the time of martial law. So all of this you're doing while also receiving yourself, for yourself, death threats. How do you navigate situations like this?
Well, I guess for continuity, I'm what they call a child of the martial law uh, period. My family has this. I think for every family, you have the both sides of the story. My father was a crew member in the presidential yacht.
Oh,
Of the president, of the former dictator, while my uncles were unfortunately among those who were killed during
oh,
the time of martial law. So I guess I didn't know that, of course, no? Even after EDSA People Power won, I knew about it when I came to UP as a student. But I guess how do you navigate this continuing impunity, as they call it? I guess every time you have to choose. It's a choice. For every moment, for every period, it's a choice of individuals. We're lucky, I'm lucky to have that kind of choice because for um, many, especially those who are struggling with poverty and uh, more intense militarization and threats to their lives, many do not have that choice. No? They only have the choice to fight, to struggle, to make ends meet. You know? But I guess young students like me before, you know, I started as an activist when I was in the university. We're luckier to have that choice. You know? And every time I look at it, every case that we handle, of course, we do it with empathy. You know, you can't help but have that, right? At the same time, you have to have that self control to have that sense of objectivity. You have to be strong. For each and every case that you handle, for each and every victim or survivor or family member that you talk to. What makes things easier is, I think, about um, collective care
Yeah.
and security, because of course I won't be alive right now without my collective, without the brave constituencies of human rights defenders and allies. So it's that sense of collective power and strength, I think, that drives me to continue what I am doing right now.
thank you so much. So let me go back to Cecile. From being one of the survivors in a way of martial law, uh, you founded Voice of the Free that works around human trafficking and slavery. Can you tell us the story of how that idea came about?
Yeah, because as you know already, I was in prison for almost 4 years, right? I was in prison together with my husband, former husband, and my two children in prison. And of course, staying in prison is really, I think, the worst um, situation that a mother can brought up their children. So it's like a torture every day, seeing your children grow up in prisons and you don't know really what's going to happen with you, with all of you, every day in your life. And of course, 4 years is 4 years. And yeah, of torture every day uncertainty of your family's life. So when I go out of prison, we go back to our province in Negros, and during that time it's not yet safe. You still, there is still killing, there are still people who are murdered, apprehended. It's like still martial law. So that's why I have to move to Manila. My siblings offer me support, to move in Manila. So I bring my children, and of course my husband. We are all together here. But eventually, my husband go back to the regions because he wants to continue fighting. But during that time, I have already 4 children, and I want to, yeah, I want my eldest son to go back, because when we were in prison, we were separated, and it takes us around 12 years of separation. So while I'm here, I I I got reports. I got some communication from the parents or mothers, mother to mother, about their children's missing. Some of them said that my daughter was recruited in Manila to work as a domestic worker. For 2 years, we're not able to, to communicate with them, and we don't know what's happening to them. So this is where we start when we try to look, where there's children. During that time, there's no human trafficking yet. It's not yet that word is not yet invented.
Invented,
So
yeah.
it's just actually missing
Missing.
children, working as child labor, even child labor, they didn't talk about. It's just really missing children. So this is where we start. And then, yeah, I was able to find some, not many, a lot of them, a lot of them in a very exploitative situation. And for me, it really strikes me hard because I'm a mother who's trying to survive my children. And I know the situation of, people who are incarcerated, maybe not in prison, but maybe in household on a very exploitative situation. So I think it's more on my mother instinct who responds to it. And so that's the start. So I become like hunting those who are missing, and hunting people who are abducting children. So I don't know.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
that's what
Thank
we
you.
start. Yeah.
And it's very interesting to know that these exploitative situations that you have observed, and from your experience being incarcerated yourself, and the mother instinct that you've mentioned, uh that's why you started your organization. From then on, I would also want to ask, what do you think are the root causes of human trafficking in the Philippines?
Well, in our experience, of course, is I believe that sometimes it's still continuation of the culture of impunity, and the culture of people who are very fatalistic, fatalistic, that believe that this is their fate, and the believe that the children sometimes are the first line of defense when it comes to poverty. So a lot of Filipinos have many children, and sometimes they feel that they are their way out for their situation. That's one, cultural, and of course the economic. No, while we have parents who believe that, by nature, I believe also that the Filipino are very familiaristic. If they have choice, they want their children to be with them. They don't want their family to work abroad or to go somewhere, or be uprooted in their community, or by uh, fall on the trap, and the deception of people who promise good life, to their children and to their family. So still, and the third, I think it's really corruption, because trafficking oil really by corruption. And this is a crime that needs so much protection also from the authorities. So there are a lot also who are in collusions with the traffickers. So yeah, I think that's the for me that's the main three reasons why this is happening.
Yes, thank you. On your first reason, really the continuation of the culture of impunity and again the economic aspect of it. I would like to go to Tinay, as we have also mentioned earlier, the culture of impunity in the Philippines, the continuation of the structure that was built during the martial law, and you yourself as a child of martial law, you said. Uh, when we say about or talk about culture of impunity for a human rights defender like yourself, the ones working in the ground, what does it really mean for you to operate within the context of that culture? And what are the elements of this culture that we're talking about? And in a way, the consequences for you?
Mhm. I agree with Tita Cecil when she said that there's really a multi-layered aspect to the landscape of impunity in the country. I would often say that there is this infrastructure of impunity, because it's not just a mere it doesn't merely express in terms of culture, right? There is what they call a method to the madness. So um but structures are the ones that who are driving this climate, and I think it is based on economic who has the economic power and the interests that they pursue, um, the kind of the in terms of political structures. Of course, you have the whole machinery of the state with all in all the branches of government. And when I say all, this includes the judiciary, which should which should keep its independence, but somehow it is interwoven into that infrastructure of impunity, and at the same time, of course, how it plays into the mindsets, and people's thoughts and expressions, more so nowadays online, and this
Mm.
manifests in every distortion of human rights principles and values, in terms of the lack of understanding on the role of the state as a duty bearer, and the people as rights holders. Impunity, I think, exists, number one, because there's no accountability. And
Mm.
when there's no accountability, it means that anyone can get away with anything. And more so if you are in a powerful position. So those in government has have are positioned that way. Those in big businesses have those kinds of position. The second is, I think, about the repetition. Impunity exists when there's repetition of these violations. If it keeps on happening, and anyone who commits these crimes get away with them, then it's just a vicious cycle of violence. And thirdly, the non-existence of indemnification, because indemnification means more than just money. You it's about instilling in all our institutions that these are violations, of people's rights, and it should be translated into something in our educational system, in our ways of educating state actors, in the ways of getting together our communities to point out the what are the crimes, what are the rights violated, and what should not be done, and how we can move forward towards a human rights culture that we all want to promote.
Thank you. That's actually very interesting. Thank you for laying in the points of the culture of impunity, the ones that enable it, the structure that enables it. Uh, I think I also want to ask this for you, Tinay. With this discussion and early on, you have mentioned about the collective care and the security of other human rights defenders and allies, the ones that enable you, that protects you from the things that you're doing now. My question is, how can the international community support the efforts of human rights defenders here in the Philippines and in other similar contexts across the globe?
Well, I think it's essentially international solidarity is a big word, right now, especially with how things are going globally. There is much room, and there's much expressions of international solidarity. But at the core of it, I think it means people, the relationships of fostering relationships with people based on mutual trust, respect, empathy, recognition of the need to support marginalized or disadvantaged communities. So while of course we do lobby, and there are good people, among diplomatic missions outside the country. We even meet in, of course, independent UN independent experts, and then members of parliaments in many parts of the world. We also work closely with international NGOs, who are like-minded, who have looked into several the patterns of violations and the landscape throughout the world, and they see the commonalities, in terms of the trends, in terms of the strategies. But at the end of it, I think I take heart from the solidarity movements by our own, built by our own.
Yeah.
As they say, our Filipino migrants are in more member countries than the UN General Assembly. We are in more than, I mean, if you have 193 member states, right, of the UN General Assembly, we are in more countries than the member states of the UN, considering the diaspora, and
We are everywhere.
we are everywhere. So anywhere that I go, where there are Filipinos, there are various expressions of solidarity and support, and of course, they drive conversations, build communities among churches, among various organizations and communities wherever they are. Yeah. They would give us adobo. They would they would cook and take care of us whenever we go there. Of course, it's expensive, right? When you go to other countries, when you talk to people, it's really very expensive. But with their care and expressions of support, when we're inside the Philippines, and they're doing solidarity work outside, those kinds of things really feed into the morale, of
Mhm.
human rights defenders and anyone, I think, here in the Philippines, needing that kind of solidarity. I think it's the collective expressions of those small, but important and significant forms of support.
Thank you. That's very good to hear and very hopeful actually to hear that aside from the international community, from the international actors, the one that keeps the fuel, the fire of human rights defenders in the Philippines is actually the uh, the locals also abroad that you meet. Uh, I would like also to go to Tinay because speaking of like international partners and the diaspora of the people that we are working with. For your organization, the Voice of the Free, who are the international actors, the political, the NGOs that you are working with your cause? Because we're talking about human slavery on an international level.
Yes.
So you need to have a good network in order to
Yeah.
do the things that you do. What are the supports also that you are receiving from them?
Yeah, for us, most of our actually partners are also in line with the modern slavery, you know, fighters.
Uh,
No, so we are also freedom fighters. So we align more on the anti-slavery international through like Freedom for All or um Freedom United. But mostly our partnership, of course, it's solidarity because it, I don't think that even us NGO can really exist alone in this fight against modern slavery in our generation. So you need partners, you need co-fighter on this that can share strategies, that can share good practice, and make sure that all those laws that you already been passed in the UN, like for example the adoption of the Convention on the Rights of Domestic Worker, the worst form against child labor, um, what the anti-trafficking protocol, although that it's non-binding, because the anti-trafficking, the Palermo Protocol, it's non-binding because it's not convention, but the others are. And of course, there's goes with the obligation for the country who ratify this convention. So one of the major, point of our partnership was to make sure that all this law that ratified by a certain countries is also properly implemented. So enactment of a local law is a must in order for the ratification to take effect. So we also monitor because countries are obligated to report on the ratification and the implementation status of the laws that are passed related to modern day slavery. So policy-wise, we're also very active in doing that. I really help in developing the worst forms of child labor convention, the ILO convention. And I'm also instrumental in the lobbying of the domestic workers protection, the rights of domestic workers, Convention of the Rights of Domestic Worker, because we are also an organization who actually lobby for 20 years the Magna Carta for domestic worker in the Philippines, or the Batas Kasambahay. So the experience that we have here is elevated actually and actually captured by our international partners and help in the developing of a convention in the ILO. So without your partners, your local experience, you cannot bring it into a global sphere or to share your global practice. So I think working with other international institutions or even governments, even other bilateral partners or people in the movement is a must, or else you are like alone in alone in one island, and it's not an easy fight also, because for modern slavery you are actually fighting against syndicate, you are fighting a very organized crime, and the fight is not easy. People try to destroy your credibility, people try to destroy your organization, the effort. You have also a real enemy in my field, no? And I experienced that big time. I
uh-huh.
experienced that big time. So yeah, so you need that kind also of solidarity and partnership. And I'm blessed and lucky that I have a very strong partners, and I'm sitting also on some of the board of that, of the global movement. So that's my part of the world now.
Yes, yeah. Thank you so much for that. Speaking of being destroyed by the enemy, of like tarnishing your reputation, I think I would like also to connect this to Tinay's statement earlier about the expression of various Filipinos abroad of the support. It's in one way or another when we talk about like advocating for this, for the human rights, and people working for uh human rights defender, working for human rights, most of the times, especially social media, we are often villainized. So, like especially for Karapatan, I know there are quite lots of example. The tarnishing of reputation was coming from the government. So, how do you deal about this?
Mhm. That's the first thing that we did, and I did was say that, okay, don't panic. Yeah, I think that's the first. I was in another part of the world. I think I was in the US. It was like 1 a.m. in the US, and then the things kept coming in 2018. No? And
Mhm.
the first thing that I did was, let out a breathe, a long heave, and then I said, okay, this is we should not panic. We know where we stand.
Yeah.
We know we know our strength. We know what to do. You know, and I guess the calmness. I was so calm. I was even surprised by myself.
Yeah, you need to be calm.
And then after you think of the one, two, threes, right? I guess what in our experience became the crucial thing is that uh, we we uh, we decided to fight back. Mhm. Because if you don't, they will just keep on hitting and hitting you
Mm.
with everything and everything until you're grounded on the ground. You're grinded into small pieces on the ground, and it starts with people, right? It starts with
Yes.
you. It starts with you. If you if you gain that confidence and you decided that this is not true, this is not correct, and you decided to fight back, then people will see the need for everyone else to fight back. Mhm.
Yeah.
So, what we first, of course, consolidated our human rights workers, Karapatan, and then, of course, our member organizations. We reached out to lawyers, to the media, to everyone, to even to Facebook. Um, to social media companies, all stakeholders, who are keen on supporting us. And that's when we said that the key is really the strength that we all have. So we reported things to, we went to complaint mechanisms domestically and internationally. Of course, at the domestic level, it's really very restricted, right? You go to the Commission on Human Rights, to the congresses, to the courts. We even went to court. And when we went to court, they slapped back with another case against us, no? Which ran for like 4 years. My God, four is a
Oh,
very minor case, but it was 4 years, and it was the former national security advisor who filed the case against us. So um, the second, I think the second lesson that we have in that process is about turning bad things into good things, right? Into
mhm.
opportunities. So we use the opportunity to highlight our case, but and to push back, but not only our own case, our own experiences, but the experiences of many others.
Mm.
Because while we have access, of course, to media, we have access to tools, to these mechanisms, many others, especially in the provinces and in rural and indigenous communities, they don't have that kind of access. So we said that in bringing forth our case, we need to shine a light also to the broader, to the cases of others, and to the broader trend that is happening here in the Philippines. So um, it becomes not only an individual or organizational experience. It is indeed, because indeed it was a full-on campaign against critics,
Yeah.
and those who um, exercise political dissent.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's really, you know that this is a fight, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I grew up being like a guerrilla. and, and if you know that this is a fight, of course, you have an enemy. And your enemy will not just sit down and just listen to you, or, you know by the fact that we're going to hit you. But you just don't know when and where and what time, how. You don't know, And then I think from the very beginning, you need really to be ready. You need to be ready. And in my case, when I was hit, um, of course, everybody's become confused, right? That's always then, oh, what's going on? Why? But I think for me, because I'm used to, to running around, fighting, and I'm just stay calm because I'm quite confident that, and I know the truth, and the body of my work can speak for itself. So I just calm, and I have only one statement. I just said, bring it on. I will defend myself in the right time and in the right platform. Because I cannot afford just to, I'm not a showbiz. I'm not a celebrity that
Uh-huh.
I have to go around and talk. But bring me the right venue, and I will defend myself there. But it's never even come because it was actually already dismissed, even in the investigation level. It doesn't even go to formal court or whatsoever. So I'm just wait and wait, and just continue to do my work because I cannot afford. I cannot afford to stop. During my time, during my attack, I have what, 80 girls under my care. You know,
Oh.
I have many cases, against trafficking, against rape, or what, all those cases that I cannot give up. So why it hits you so bad, personally, and of course, even your family, you cannot lose focus of your purpose. And when it comes, it comes. If it's not, it's not. And but it will not stop me, doing my job or doing the right thing, because only history can actually judge
Judge
us,
you. Yeah.
judge us. So yeah, siguro it's because of my age. you know,
It's the it's the wisdom.
you are
Uh,
already seasoned by all those
by all the
the
harassments
seasoned by
that
all the fight.
you
So
faced during your
yeah,
early years.
and of
I
course,
like the points that you made, the words that you said, that while being under attack, you need to stay calm and continue working because lives are at stake here.
yes.
We couldn't just like sit down and take it. We need to continue working, continue to fight, and at the same time face the detractors, face the enemies, and your purpose. I like those words.
Yes, and
uh
during the time
yes.
I said that, okay, if I'm in the ring for the boxing, that's the time that I box. But
Yeah.
as long as still in the somewhere
Yeah,
else, I just continue to do my work. I'm just worried if I'm in the what do you call that, boxing ring
the
already.
boxing. Yeah.
I will not waste my energy while the fight is not starting yet, right? So
Yes. I guess aside from the things that we're already discussing now, what advice do you have for individuals who are interested of becoming like yourself, like human rights defenders in this very challenging environment, especially like living in the Philippines? So, what would be your advice for people?
ako ba?
Yes, Cecilia.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
yes, please.
Me first.
You go ahead.
Join us.
Yes,
Yeah,
join
please
us.
join us. Yeah, for me, yeah, I'm 64 years old. No regrets. No regrets with all the sacrifices I've been through, with all the, with all those beautiful things that happened in my life, the prison, the fight and everything, because you have only one life. Use it. Use it in the right purpose rather than, just waste it in maybe in Facebook or somewhere, change, change is important. We are all die. We're all gonna die. But
Uh,
I think live a fruitful life, contribute to you know, to the goodness of the humanity and to bring this world in a better place. Right? So yeah, it's simple. Just join us. This is good. For me, this is the best choice that I've done in my life and will continue to do whatever I can based on my capacity. If I born again, go back again in time, I still choose the same path that I choose.
Thank you. That's very encouraging for everyone. Tina, would you want to add on that?
Wow, it's hard to add on that anymore.
It is, yeah. Like same
but,
message.
but really, but really, I appreciate Tita Cecil and many others, our foremothers, no,
Mhm.
who came
Paved the
before,
way.
paved the way, right? Because of the whole body of wisdom and the knowledge and of course the legacy that they have brought to several human rights defenders um, until the current generation. Now, I'm part of what they call the Gen X generation.
I don't
Yeah.
actually know that. I don't understand that anymore.
but we were at that time. I think what was really drilled into us by many things, media,
Mhm.
what the school, is that you work, you study, you work, you earn, and that's it.
Yeah. That's
You
the
fend,
cycle.
you fend for your family, and when you fend for your family, you help the country. But I guess many have broken that mold. That mold has been for every generation, right? I
Yeah.
mean, but I guess each and every time there's always that breaking out of the box type of things, where we are put into the box of what needs to be a good quote unquote good citizen. But at the same time, as what Tita Cecil has said, I think it's about really uh, thinking of uh, doing good things for others. No, I mean, that's true. You only have one life. What will you do? What will you do with it, right? I mean, even if you watch what TikTok for 24/7, I mean, it won't do any good. So you have to, I mean, it doesn't mean that you'll give up everything. No, it means that give something for others. You give your life to something that is meaningful. And there is a broad human rights movement wherever we are. There are various endeavors into women's rights, children's rights, civil and all aspects of civil and political rights. Of course, right now there is much interest in environmental defense, but we have so much to fight for,
Yeah.
in this cruel world, and at the same time there is a big movement that's waiting to embrace us. The people out there, especially the poor and marginalized among our people, would need that kind of support. We're not messiahs, no?
Yeah.
We're not.
But
I mean, we should not act like that, because the people, whether without us, with or without us, I have full belief that people have agency over their rights. They have knowledge on human rights. Um, but working together makes it, more fruitful, more fulfilling for any individual.
Thank you. And with that response, I think I'll segue to my last question. What do you envision for the future of human rights advocacy in the Philippines?
ikaw
Ceci.
naman.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think that we would not exist as an organization. I think that's the future that I am aspiring for, because when we exist, it means there's something
There's
wrong.
something wrong.
Yes.
So I want to lose relevance. I want our organization to lose relevance, because uh of course that it means that the problems that we are having right now wouldn't be, we wouldn't have to do human rights documentation and monitoring, right? But at the same time, we have so much to hope for. You know,
Yeah.
I'm considering the history of the country, the the history of various peoples all over the world. This is actually the time of hope, because um, of the various efforts to um, connect various movements, to strengthen these movements, and at the same time, while of course there may be backsliding in some context here, included in the Philippines, na backsliding to perhaps worse situations or better situations. Na? I think uh, for as long as many sectors groups work together, we can have a vision of a truly free and democratic country, because that's what we need. That's what the disadvantaged communities need. Not only, well, of course, more so in the future generations. I do not have a child, Tita Cecil. I'm a lesbian activist, but at the same time, I feel motherly when, when I look
Unique. Unique.
when I look at my cat and the younger generations of activists now, because
Yeah.
you'll see that hope, eh? So that's why there's also a need to really support and harness the youth movement, especially during this time when there are various forms of disinformation.
Yeah, true.
There are various forms of attacks, no, on the basic principles of human rights and people's rights.
Yeah, so for me it's the same. Yeah, I hope that I don't exceed, our organization will not exist, So yeah, because there are no need for people who work on, on the issue of human trafficking and modern slavery. And I wish that, I know that I will not say this day, but I wish that the time will come that our people, women and childrens, can explore opportunity and their dreams without the risk of being exploited and sold, you know. Yun lang. So yeah, that's my dream, and of course for the country really to, to learn from the past,
Uh,
and to
yeah,
and to acknowledge the sacrifices of those who offered their lives in the past.
indeed, indeed. And with that, I would like to thank you. Thanks to extend my thanks to you, ladies, for such an for such a strength and wisdom for this talk. Again, this has been the time for RLS Manila uh, as part of the segment 12 of the 24 hours discussion on the nights of global social rights. You are all invited to participate in the discussions in the coming hours coming from our different offices across the globe. All recordings on the RLS Berlin website will be uploaded soon for all this discussion. Again, thank you so much and mabuhay from the Philippines.